It's Catherine Beeks with Listen Local Radio, another episode of Half-Fast TV. And today in the studio, Lulu, we have Ramona resident. I have so much admiration and respect for everything you do. Ken Grandlund.
There you go.
Grandlund?
That's it. Grandlund, yep.
Okay.
Good job. That's
Thank
a
you.
tough one for some folks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just sound it out.
Yeah, right.
Ken, how long have you lived in Ramona, first of all?
So it's about 4.5 years now.
Okay.
Been in Southern California since the end of '99.
Okay.
And we actually landed in Oceanside and settled there for quite a few years because it was beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's kind of close to the beach.
Yeah.
And then it got a little more like South Orange County.
Yeah.
And a little more expensive. And
Yeah.
we turned and looked to our left and said, hey, Ramona, mountains, hiking,
Nice.
winery,
Yes.
small town feel, good people. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys take advantage of all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm
we do.
a Facebook fan of yours, and I keep track of you and your lady. So we're here today to talk about Ramona Pride here in
Yeah.
Ramona. But before we do, I just wanted to get a little background on you because I know you have a extensive broadcasting background. Tell me all about that.
30 plus years in broadcast media. I'll even jump back a little further and say I really got my love of that kind of work younger doing theater.
Okay.
Theater in school, and then I went from theater into music, and all of that was so much fun. I thought, how can I get paid for this?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, there's broadcasting. And so I went into radio pretty much right out of high school.
Okay.
Did some training first, of course, and then I went in and I just started doing radio for several years. And they tossed me into the newsroom for a while, so I was doing newscasts
And
and
where was
music.
this?
This was up in the Oregon coast.
Okay.
So small market for
Yeah.
sure. But that sort of took its course, and the landscape was changing in the mid-'90s, and I thought, let's get out of radio and move into something else. And it took me a minute, but I found myself in television.
Okay.
And so, again, knowing what broadcast was like and what news in television was like, I said, I don't want to be up really early and at the office really late. So what
Yeah.
else can I do? And I got into media production. So
Okay.
think commercials for clients and businesses, think station promotions.
Right.
And really just transformed that into almost 3 decades of work.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. And then along the way, I was trying to find some actual real purpose in life, right? And so, you find a career that's fun and that gives you opportunities that people don't have. And you find a way to figure out how to give back.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at volunteer opportunities. And I had done some of that growing up here and there, wildlife rescue
Yeah.
and, raising money for different things. But I initially jumped into Special Olympics
Okay.
and had a lot of fun coaching for 5 or 6
that's
years.
amazing, yeah.
And some of the best people I've ever met
I bet.
are the athletes in Special Olympics who just
Oh,
are happy to
man,
see
yes.
you and be there and share some time together. And so
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. At the same time, I got involved in LGBTQ issues.
Okay.
Kind of officially started around 2008 when the No on 8 campaign against same-sex marriage was floating around. And when
Yeah.
that became, hey, we can do this, I thought, well, folks need someone to help them out with these weddings. And I've been an officiant forever.
So
And
cool.
so I was just like, let me just start doing weddings for folks. And through that, I kind of started making connections, and I became involved with the North County LGBTQ Resource Center in Oceanside.
Okay.
And I joined their board. I actually just left the board after about 8 years. I
Okay.
kind of termed out, and the last 4 years traveling from Ramona to Oceanside several times a month started to get a little bit challenging
Indeed,
for
yeah.
me. But it was a great experience. I love the organization. I'm never going to stop supporting them and helping them out. I say that because when I first moved to Ramona, I was in Oceanside for Pride by the Beach.
Okay.
I came home and I opened up the Sentinel, and there was a little blurb about this young man here in Ramona who started his own Pride event.
Yeah.
And, it talked to him a little bit, and he said, I was tired of looking around, waiting for it to happen, realized I had to be the one to make it happen if I wanted it to be there.
Is that Wyland?
That's Wayland.
Wayland.
Yeah, Wayland Booth. And so
Oh, yeah.
I thought to myself, this kid's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Out here in Ramona where, before we moved, we were all warned about, you got to be careful out there. I said, I don't think I have to be that careful.
Right.
People are people.
Right.
But I read that little blurb in the Sentinel, and I thought, well, I've got some connections. I've got some resources. Let me reach out to him and see if he wants to elevate this a little bit.
Okay.
Because the first Ramona Pride, 5 years ago now, was Waylon and a group of his friends, and they did a walk up and down Main Street.
Yep.
And then they got back to where they started, and they looked around and said, well, we don't know what else to do.
No
so
way,
that
yeah.
was great. That was empowering.
Yeah.
That was awesome. We'll see what happens next year. So I was able to meet him at that juncture. I found him online. I said, hey, check me out. I'm not a stalker. I'm a real person.
Yeah.
I can, help you elevate this thing if you want to.
So cool.
And so we did meet. We had a little community picnic that we threw together, and a bunch of people showed up. And another person that's now on our board of directors, Belinda Long,
Okay.
a longtime Ramona resident, had kids that went to school here in Ramona, was one of the original founders of the PFLAG here in Ramona.
Yeah.
She's got her own story, so I'm not going to steal anything from her. You can hear her story, and she's happy to share it if you meet her.
Yeah.
But she joined Waylon and I, and together we became this triumvirate of Ramona Pride. And let's figure out how we can elevate this for the folks that live out here in sort of the central East County mountain area
Yep.
that don't want to or aren't able to drive to San Diego or
Right.
Oceanside or some of the bigger places that are farther away. Let's give something for them.
Yeah.
Waylon, you had a great turnout your first year. Let's see what we can do. So I started reaching out to all the different folks I knew in the nonprofit world because I had those connections through the North County Center.
Sure.
And our second Pride event here in Ramona had about 100 people
Okay.
and about 20 local organizations that came up just to share
Amazing.
information
That's so great.
for people that live up here. That say,
Right.
hey, there might not be something here, but do you know we're in Escondido or we're in Ocean, wherever they are,
Yep.
right? And in this beautiful world we live in where you don't have to live in one place to access information,
That's right.
it was awesome. So we did that the next year, and
Okay.
we grew it a little bit. It was about 140 people. And then we did it our fourth year, which was last year, and we had almost 200 people.
Yeah.
And we got a boost last year. Politics does play into the
Right.
LGBTQ community,
Of course.
right? And so when there's a lot of negative noise,
Yeah.
you also see a lot of positive reinforcement
Right.
to combat that negativity.
Yep.
And so our numbers jumped last year to over 200.
Amazing.
We had the folks from Indivisible Ramona joining us
Yep.
because it was a No Kings
That's right.
protest day
Yep.
that kind of
It
coincided.
did.
And they were gracious enough to say, hey, look, we can move our event to after yours and join you and support you because
Love
you only do
that.
this once a year, and we're out here more often
So
than
cool.
that. So that's kind of how Ramona Pride began.
Okay.
How it's organically grown
Yeah.
through the years. We've always, for year 2, 3, and 4, we were at Collier Park in town.
Yeah.
We would meet there. We would start off and continue the tradition of the walk down Main Street. We call it the Visibility Walk.
Yeah.
And it's about 2 miles, give
Yep.
or take. You know, you can stop and turn back wherever you want. And then people would go back to the park and there'd be food and the information. And slowly we've tried to bring some entertainment into the mix. And it's tough. We're a small, now 501c3 organization as
Right.
of about 4 months ago.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of legwork behind the
Yeah,
scenes,
of
but
course.
it's done. And now we just got to make sure we keep dotting our I's and crossing our T's.
I know the Resistors came and played last year. They're
The
dear friends
Resistors
of
have been
mine.
there 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're hoping to get them back. We're starting to work, and we can talk a little bit about opportunities for folks in a minute. But we moved from Collier Park the first 3 years, and now we will be at the Ramona Community/Senior Center
Gotcha.
for the event. And part of the reason for that was folks like the Resistors. It was getting pretty hot.
Right.
And playing outside with no real shade or cooling, hard on the equipment,
Yep.
hard on the audience.
That's right.
Hard on the performers,
Right.
And so we took that to heart. Some folks were saying, "Oh, maybe you should pick a different time of the year." And
Yeah.
we're like, "Well, June is Pride Month,
That's
and
right.
we want to be solid in that."
Yeah.
So we have moved. This year we'll be at the Ramona Community/Senior Center. Our electrified entertainment can be indoors.
Beautiful.
There's a cool room if people need to go in and cool down
Yep.
to do that. There's last year for the first time we had some drag performers.
Yep.
They're coming back. They can be indoors where they're
Nice.
not melting
That's
all day
right.
long,
That's a
right?
lot of
And so
makeup
that's
and
a lot
stuff,
of
yeah.
makeup. So we think that the new location is going to be great for a whole host of reasons.
Great.
It doesn't add a lot of distance to our visibility walk, but it adds a couple of extra blocks
Sure.
for those that want to stick through the whole thing.
Yep.
And we're starting that an hour earlier as well
Okay.
to work on the heat.
Good.
It used to start at 10:30. Now we're going to start at 9 o'clock.
Great.
Get it done early in the morning.
Yep.
More time to enjoy and learn and have community in the afternoon.
Absolutely. So cool.
Whew,
So
that was
how
a
do-
mouthful, wasn't it?
Well, it was so well succinct and yeah, so much great information. So how do folks get involved?
Lots of ways you can get involved. Obviously, you can just show up. So the event is June 13th. Figure second Saturday in June. That's easy to remember. Ramona Senior Center, Community Center. Show up by 9 o'clock.
Okay.
First way is to just participate, right? Bring friends, bring family, bring people who maybe don't know that much
Yeah.
about the community, but are friendlies
Yeah.
of the community, right?
Yep.
That's one way. Other ways, we have a lot of opportunities. If you're a local business, if you're a local performer, if you're some sort of a crafts person, if you just want to volunteer, those are all ways to connect with Ramona Pride. Let me just throw this out. If you search Ramona Pride on Facebook, it's an open group.
Yeah.
That's where our main website is for
Okay.
now. We haven't built anything else yet.
Okay.
We also have an email address. So it's ramonaprideevent@gmail.com.
Okay.
So you can send me an email. I can get you information. You can look through our packet, see if there's something that makes sense. And when I talk about entertainers and entertaining,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to just be music, right?
Right.
You have a dance group or a dance routine, you want to do that? You want
Totally.
to spoken word, poetry,
Right.
anything that you want to share. We'd love to be that stage for you to share it on. And you know,
Fantastic.
you do all sorts of stuff like that, right? So you have a million different stages that I see for a dozen different things that people can be doing, whether it's poetry or music or reading or art
Yeah.
or design.
Love that.
And so we want to just kind of open that space up.
Okay.
You don't have to be LGBT or Q to
Yeah.
participate in
Yeah.
Ramona Pride. There's also a bunch of other letters, and one of those is A, and that stands for allies,
Yes.
or one of the A's stands for allies, right?
Absolutely.
If you're a local business and you want to just get some exposure, most of the people that are coming to Ramona Pride are local. And by local, I mean Ramona, Santa Isabel,
Backcountry,
Julian,
yeah.
Lakeside, that kind of an area. Just to put yourself out there and say, hey, we'd love to have you know about us.
Yeah.
And we don't have any problem with you coming in and being patrons because
That's
we're
right.
supporters of the community.
Beautiful.
We want people to either be allies or want to be allies
Yeah.
and learn about, hey, everybody's just everybody,
Right.
right? So those are a couple of the big opportunities. We have a very small stipend that we're asking for people that are selling things.
Okay.
So if you're a business and you want to sell something, if you're a crafts person and you want to sell something, there's a small fee. It's like $25 to set up a booth.
Sweet.
If you're a youth, and I think we categorize that as 20 something and under, I'll have to look at my paper. No charge.
Right.
If you're a nonprofit and you want to set up, no charge.
Beautiful.
If you're a food vendor and you have a food truck and you want to bring it in because we're looking for a couple of food trucks, we have a couple of options to work with there. But again, I think it's like $40 for the
Wow.
day, or you can do some sort of a percentage of gross, and it's all an honor system.
Incredible.
We're not out there looking at anybody's books to make sure that we're not here to make money.
Right.
Ramona Pride is here to build community
Yeah.
and to spread resources and to share the love that people want to put out there in the world.
I love that, Ken.
Yeah.
Amazing. To some of our neighbors who don't really understand, they are confused and scared, what do you tell them?
Well, the first thing I say is, are you open-minded? Right? Are you willing to learn something and put aside maybe some of your biases or prejudgments or things that you've been indoctrinated with over the years? And that may sound like a strong word, but I don't mean it as a strong word.
Right.
It's just kind of, you go through life and things get piled on. And
Yeah.
sometimes you question and sometimes you don't. If that describes you, come on out. You're going to find out that there's really nothing to worry about. There is no gay agenda.
Right.
It's a human agenda that we all have. It's like, let's be happy. Let's be healthy. Let's get through our lives. Let's not, cause problems for people, and
Right.
let's help people out where we can.
Right.
I get that there are some folks that have a very opposite opinion,
Yeah.
or they just have some internal struggles with accepting folks that they don't see as part of the mainstream or
Right.
norm. If that's you and you don't want to learn, just don't come.
Right.
It's that simple. No one's like dragging you out of your house and, putting rainbow stickers on your forehead and
Right.
saying, "Hey, you have to accept this."
Yeah.
What you don't have to do is be cruel.
Right.
You don't have to engage with folks that don't see the world the same way you do. You
Right.
just go about your business and let them go about theirs, and there's no harm.
Beautiful. 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, again, the date is
June 13th, second Saturday in June, starting at 9 o'clock at the Ramona Community/Senior Center. I say / because during the week it's the Senior Center,
Yeah.
and on the weekends it's the Community Center. So
Right.
you might know it from one way or the other.
and there's
but
parking.
tons of parking,
Yeah.
lots more parking than we had at Collier Park.
Right.
So if we continue to grow the event, we've got enough overflow. And this will probably be our new home for many years until we outgrow that one as well, which,
Great.
that's not our goal necessarily to be a big event. Our goal is to be a local community event. We're not a corporate event, but that doesn't mean local businesses can't connect with us.
That's right. Beautiful. Yeah. And then you and I are going to check back in closer to the event to kind of update on who's going to be there.
Yeah,
and what kind of
hopefully.
activities and what bands are performing and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to be spending the next couple of months trying to lock folks in and figure out who's interested, and then we can come back and give sort of a rundown of what people can expect that day. And if I'm lucky, one of my other folks can come and talk about that, either Waylon or Belinda, so that people don't get tired of hearing my voice. It's nice to hear different stories.
Wayland. I'm such a fan on Facebook
He's
as
an
well.
amazing guy.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
Absolutely. Doing such great work. All right, Ken, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
So glad that you're here in our community.
Oh, I appreciate
you're
that.
You're such a great guy and so talented.
And I appreciate just the opportunity to share the news a little bit more.
Good.
We're not afraid to let people know that this is a vibrant community that's out here, living their lives, spending their dollars, just trying to be happy, healthy, and move on. So
life is short.
Yeah.
Let's all
spend it being loveful and happy,
exactly.
right?
Let's all get that love in our heart and enjoy it.
For sure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you, Catherine.